Ohio needs nurses now. Xavier University is offsetting the demand by offering individuals with non-nursing bachelor's degrees an accelerated path to the profession. With locations in Cincinnati, Cleveland, and Columbus, our ABSN program enables adult learners like you to earn a respected Bachelor of Science in Nursing in 16 months. So what are you waiting for? There's no better time than now to step up and become a nurse. Search Xavier ABSN to apply.
Are you ready, kids? Get your parents' permission, check your mailbox, and grab your shopping cart. It's time for the Adventures in Collecting podcast.
I'm Erik.
And I'm Dave. Welcome to Adventures in Collecting, where we talk toy news, culture, and hauls,
along with our journeys as collectors. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Adventures in Collecting.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too, Dave, and Happy New Year to our ever-growing Adventures in Collecting family, the AIC family. It's another year.
Everyone's going to think the podcast was broken. You may have... This will either be funny in the long run or not. You may have to cut some of that dead air out.
I'm gonna be honest with you, because I know you don't listen back to the show. I usually cut a little bit of it anyway.
Okay.
This is a little snippy over there.
This one was excessive, and this means nothing because you'll not have heard how long the original one is.
So today is our annual best of episode.
Yes. Settle in, everyone.
But we did it a little bit differently this year. So in the past, we've had some guests come on and do the top 10 with us, but we decided to
no leads to bury this week.
Yeah, no. We decided to do things a little bit differently this year. We held a little bit of a virtual tournament over on Instagram. We held in the name of our mascot, the first annual Archie Tournament, which pitted 32 toy lines against each other in a I guess in a March Madness style bracket, I guess you could say. I don't know if anyone else uses that, a single elimination bracket.
Yeah, we'll call it a single elimination bracket.
And so it pitted 32 active toy lines from 2021, a list that we came up with. And then from there, after we came up with the list, we stayed out of it. So there was since we have never done this before, there was no seeding or anything. It was completely random. And then we set it up and stayed out of it. And we let our followers on Instagram vote throughout. And it was super fun watching some of the matchups. I mean, unfortunately, some toy lines that are near and dear to our hearts caught some buzzsaws early on.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Star Wars: The Vintage Collection and WWE Elites, and actually all of Mattel's WWE Elite or WWE lines ate it in the first round.
AEW made it to the second round, so that was cool.
Yeah, so you know what? Before we crown our winner, just to kind of give you catch everybody up. Making it out of the first round, I'm not going to go through all 32 teams or 32 brands because that's a lot. You can find this on our Instagram. So if you head to Instagram.com or just search for AIC_podcast, you can find the brackets in our feed. But basically, it was the Hasbro show. The making it into the final four were the Transformers, the G.I. Joe Classified, Masters of the Universe Revelation, Star Wars: The Black Series. I'm sorry, this was 8, not the final four. The Power Rangers Lightning Collection, Marvel Legends, NECA Ultimate, and Medicom Mafex. And then headed into the final four was G.I. Joe Classified taking on Star Wars: The Black Series, and on the other side of the bracket, Marvel Legends taking on NECA Ultimates. And that led us to our final, which was G.I. Joe Classified versus Marvel Legends. which I think is personally, I think is a really fair matchup given kind of all of the brands that were in here. And, the 32 brands and toy lines that made it all had really great years. They all were doing new things with their line. They were active. But I think it would be hard to argue that seeing Marvel Legends go up against G.I. Joe Classified, given everything that's kind of gone on in the world, gone on with those toy lines, two extremely active, vocal communities behind them. I think it was a fair final matchup. What are your thoughts, Dave?
Yeah, I mean, I would have figured, like, if you had told me what do you think would be the final going into it, that probably would have been my guess.
Yeah, I mean, it honestly, like, the randomizer was kind in the fact that it put Marvel Legends and G.I. Joe Classified on two different ends of the tournament bracket, because that matchup early on, who knows what would have came out on the other side,
Yeah.
for them to go up against. But Marvel Legends pretty much tore through every line that it came up against. There were really no close matchups. They led pretty much not pretty much. They led every one of their competitors by at least 40%. A 40% margin in the end. G.I. Joe had some tough battles throughout. Nearly lost to Transformers. It was a tough road for them, but in our final,
Well, it was a tough battle, but they had half of it down because they had knowing at their disposal. Because knowing is half the battle.
Well done. That was well done. I like that. So headed into the final, with 64% of the vote, your first annual Archie Award winner is Marvel Legends. So some claps, some golf claps to Steve, Ryan, Dan, Dwight, Tony, everybody that works on the Marvel Legends product. Congratulations, you guys are our inaugural winner of the Archie Award. And oh wait, what's this, Dave? I think we have a special message.
Do we have an acceptance speech?
I think we do. Coming to you live from Rhode Island is Ryan Ting from the Marvel Legends team. Ryan, take it away.
Hey guys, this is Ryan from the Hasbro Marvel team. Thank you to Erik, Dave, and the Adventures in Collecting podcast voters for choosing Marvel Legends as the 2021 inaugural Archie Award Tournament winner. And kudos to all 32 incredible toy lines in the bracket. I think the real winner this year is the toy community, since there are so many amazing options for fans no matter what you happen to collect. Cheers to another fantastic year of figures, and here's to 2022.
Thank you again, Ryan, for graciously accepting the award. I guess this gives
awesome.
This gives us a certain level of credibility. It's a real award now.
It feels so real.
Wow. All right. Well, there you have it. So next year we'll do this again in December, and we were thinking about it. Maybe we'll throw in some kind of superlative awards to go along with the main Archie.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you to everybody that voted. Where it seemed like everyone had a good time, so we're happy that everyone enjoyed it so much. So, yeah. With that, Dave, was there anything else that you wanted to say? Any last thoughts about the tournament? Anything that you wanted to add before we move on to our lists?
Nah, I think that pretty much covers it.
So with that, Dave, it's time to talk top 10s.
Yes.
So how do you want to do this? Do you want to do our honorable mentions first, or do we want to jump into our top 10s and save our honorable mentions for the end?
No, I would say the honorable mentions have to go first. I know that's how we have done it previously, and we did it at the halfway point. Which, if you want to be reminded of what our halfway through the year top 10s were, because I don't remember, check out that episode with Just Jay Hernandez.
Yeah, I'll put a link to that in the show notes. That way you can go back and revisit. Let's hop into the honorable mentions. Would you like to go first? Age before beauty.
Sure. So I'm going to start with. I'm going to actually do these in order because I feel like these are kind of in order.
Okay.
And I'm going to start with Mattel, WWE Elite, Ringside Collectibles Exclusive, ECW Cactus Jack.
Bang bang.
I just think, yes, it isn't the actual tag team title that he held. There's no way they could even do that. So yeah, it's another way to get a EC. It's actually, I think, like the way to get an ECW tag team title out there. But what a figure! It's probably one of the best Foleys. It's one of the best recent Foleys, that's for sure. And I mean, it's awesome. It's such a great figure.
Yeah, I haven't had an we haven't seen each other that much again because as you know, as
pandemics go,
yeah.
This is one of them.
So I haven't had a chance to see that in person yet, but the pictures I have seen and the pictures that you sent are, it's very exciting. And I love that they included the big backdrop.
The backdrop is cool because that's
it.
like, if you think of any ECW interview ever, it's either that backdrop or the, Extreme logo. So yeah.
So my first honorable mention is a whole line. My honorable mentions do not kind of follow the same rules as my top 10. But my first honorable mention is from Hasbro, the Ghostbusters Plasma series, specifically the Afterlife figures that came out this year. That movie was incredible. It was the first time I had been back to the movie theater in nearly 2 years. I got an awesome parting gift of a stomach virus, which was brutal. But the figures associated with the film, I was ordering them in the parking lot on my way out of the theater. The movie was excellent. Figures are great. It was so well executed. And then, of course, the 2-pack. Spoiler alert, if you have not seen Ghostbusters Afterlife, I feel like it's been a long enough time now. But the family that busts together 2-pack, I thought was really well executed. Yeah, just all in all, a great addition to that line, and something that I didn't think that I was going to be buying, truthfully. But I'm glad to have them. So that was my first honorable mention.
My next one is Lego Batman 66 Batmobile.
Wow.
You want a really cool Batmobile with some really cool minifigs at a really great price? This is the set for you. Yeah, you could get the 89 Batmobile. I do have it. It's enormous. It rules. But this is actually a good one too, because it's a nice big Batmobile, but it's also one that the minifigs fit in. So, really cool.
Awesome. My next honorable mention is 2 figures. We're gonna head over to NECA's 1990 Turtles line. This year we got April O'Neil and we got Casey Jones. Arguably 2 of the best human likenesses that NECA has done to date. The whole thing that the whole April O'Neil takeover to kind of announce the figure and show the behind the scenes process. Shouts to our friend of the pod, Blaine, for helping handle the technical end of that over at NECA and getting that out on social media and stuff. But yeah, those 2 figures are just great, and they look so good with the turtles. Yeah, it's just I'm so happy that they exist, and I'm happy to have them.
My next one I got as part of a 2-pack, but was ultimately released single carded. So I'm going to include it as a single here. and that is the Mcfarland DC Multiverse Red Hood. What a figure! Like, just what a cool figure. I like the kind of metallic mask. The cool bomber jacket. Such a posable figure. I think it was yeah, it's just a really cool figure.
And it's also notably it is the last
I
for
was
the
gonna
foreseeable future McFarlane figure that comes with pistols.
I was gonna say that, but I didn't want to be like incorrect. So
Yeah, no, that is the most recent one. I mean, technically, it was released around the same time as the Flashpoint Batman, and I think he also has pistols. But I think the Red Hood actually came out after that. So
yeah.
yeah, awesome figure. That the cherry red on that the helmet finish is out of this world.
It's almost like a car finish, you know.
Yeah. My next honorable mention takes us over to Jazwares and the Pokemon Select line. So we've seen the first 3 of those figures hitting shelves. We've seen obviously the folks at Jazwares were kind enough to send out Charizard for us to take a look at. Friend of the pod Aaron and Scott are friends of the pod. Definitely head back and take a listen to that Pokemon anniversary episode. That was a lot of fun. But that line is super cool. Prior to them making these 6-inch scale, roughly 6-inch scale, super articulated Pokemon, your only market for them was the import market, and they went for, they're now out of production and go for quite a large amount on the aftermarket. They're really well done. They move exactly the way that you need them to, and I'm excited for that Rayquaza to eventually hit. Looking more like it's going to hit in 2022 now. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that one.
All right, so my next one, you mentioned toys that are imports, and this one is an import. It is. You may have heard about the rest of this series in an earlier episode when we had friend of the pod Junk Shop Dog on. And it is Junk Shop Dog's Sofubi Pro Wrestling Series 2 Bruiser Brody figure.
Man, it's crazy to think that was that long ago.
That was like the beginning of the year.
Yeah. Awesome figure. Excited to see.
Looking forward to the rest of them. It looks like Bull Nakano is going to be coming soon. So
Yep. So my next one is something that literally 5 days ago got bumped out of my top 10 list. Was sitting what I thought at comfortably at number 10. Excuse me, at number 9. Got bumped out of the list by two late additions. But Super 7's reaction Milo from Descendants. Yeah, as I mentioned on our episode with where we talked all things Super 7 with Kyle. I love that album and that band so much that I was so happy to have some form a figure of it, and didn't know I needed it. They announced it, needed it, super happy to have it. So yeah, that's my it's my fourth honorable mention.
So my last one comes in the name of innovation, because this is an action figure for an individual who is unlike anything we've seen before. And in order to get something that really personifies someone we've never seen before, we need an innovation that we've never seen before. And I am, of course, talking about Jazwares AEW Unrivaled Series 3 Orange Cassidy.
Oh, the pockets. A figure with pockets.
I mean, just, it's one of those things where you just kind of I remember the tweets between Jeremy and Magic and saw it play out, and then we got it, and it is exactly what, everything we could have hoped for.
Yeah, that one. That was another one that was cool to watch that kind of come to life, and it happened really quickly. Like it feels like that one was like they got that out real fast. Yeah, that
as seems to have been the case for a lot of the AEW stuff.
Yeah. All right, and then my last honorable mention here, before we get into our top tens, as much as it like, I'm gonna hint at something that is going to be on my list, but as I've mentioned countless times on the show, over the last 2 years, is my one of my main priorities in collecting is MCU Marvel Legends, and that absolutely remains to be the case. I am still current and caught up, and there were a lot of MCU figures in 2021. However, none of them made my top 10 list for that reason that I set up at the top, where I mentioned that I tried to keep it one per brand, and there was one Marvel Legends figure that absolutely knocked my socks off, blew my doors off, which means that some of the figures that I was looking forward to most in 2021 have been relegated to the honorable mentions list. My final honorable mention is the entire Infinity Saga subline from Marvel Legends this year. That includes the Thanos and Tony Stark 2-pack, the Ironmonger and Obadiah Stane 2-pack, the Rescue and Captain Marvel, the Quicksilver, all of those, the Surtur, Odin, all of those figures were absolutely fantastic. Were absolute clutch needs in the collection, and I'm so happy to have them. But like I said, there was one special Marvel Legends figure that kicked that entire subline to the honorable mentions list. So that's my final one, is the Infinity Saga line.
All right, so we are entering the top 10.
Yes, so I think this is a good time to hear from our friends at Chubsy Wubsy. This segment is brought to you by our friends at Chubsy Wubsy Toys. A traditional mom-and-pop toy store in Little Falls, New Jersey, Chubsy Wubsy Toys brings you the best new toys from the brands you love without the hassle of pounding the pavement searching for them at larger retail stores. Visit them in person at 106 Main Street in Little Falls, New Jersey, or online at chubsywubsy.com. That's CHUBZYWUBZZY.com. And tell them Adventures in Collecting sent you. All right, Dave. So, do you want to start us off with your top 10, or would you like me to start off with your top 10? And of course, we're gonna go from 10, working all the way up to our number one favorite.
I'll keep going.
All right.
We'll stay in this order.
All right. So,
all right.
Take it away, Dave.
So very, very similar to how Daniel Bryan started off WrestleMania 31 after ending WrestleMania 30. The former number one on my list has started off the top 10.
Get out of here.
And I, of course, and this was like weird, but this was one of the things I was most looking forward to. And I got it, and I still love it. But there was just so much other great stuff that came out. But it is the Mcfarland Kickstarter Spawn. Say that 10 times fast. The Mcfarland Kickstarter Spawn. And of course I have Classic Spawn, which reminded me most of the original figure. I still think it reminds me very much of the original figure. It's kind of what I wanted. I didn't need insanely articulated Spawn. I just wanted cool looking Spawn, and I got it.
Yeah,
and that's really where it is. But there are so many things that are kind of better than it that have come out this year, where it was like, at the halfway point, I was like, Spawn going away is my toy of the year. And just so much unbelievable stuff has come in this last half.
It was, and I mean, this goes to show you too. I mean, we kind of both waxed poetically about how much we loved that figure in the at the halfway point. I remember that. And he didn't even make my honorable mentions. That's how busy the last half of the year has been in terms of toys. But I will shout out still once again, like, the delivery of that whole thing, the transparency from Todd, and like, the problems that happened with Kickstarter, the actual execution on kind of what was to be expected there, the level of packaging, the quality of the whole thing, the experience. Yeah, definitely a memorable one, and something I'm glad I have as well. So my number 10, this might be something that's on your list as well. I'm not sure. Again, you've seen my list. I haven't seen yours, but my number 10 is a 2-pack. It is the only 2-pack on my list. It is I guess you'll say, the wrestling figure representation on my list this year. Mine is the Ringside exclusive Jazwares Jurassic Express 2-pack, featuring my daughter's favorite wrestler, Jungle Boy Jack Perry, and Luchasaurus. I got the variant of the 2-pack where Luchasaurus was sitting on Jungle Boy's shoulders in the package. Chris Metzger over at Jazwares, toy packaging legend, absolutely crushed the design of the packaging for it, the kind of homage to Jurassic Park. It's fantastic. And then you open it up and the figures are just amazing. The Magic and Dan Friedman, they absolutely crushed the tattoo work on Luchasaurus, and the likenesses and the articulation. It's just all there. Absolutely fantastic figures, fantastic 2-pack, soup to nuts. Great delivery on that.
Number 9. One of the best, I think, Mattel WWE Elite figures in a long time. By far the best of the year. I think it is, likeness-wise, is just unbelievable, and I think like the deco on this character is just beyond unbelievable. And it is Mattel WWE Elite 89, Damien Priest, the Archer of Infamy. What a figure. Just, it was one of those ones where I saw it. There were other ones that I loved early in the year, but I was like, this is just by far one of the best Elites that's come out in a long time.
Absolute stunner. That's one that I had to have. I'm a huge mark for Damien Priest. I loved the whole angle with Bad Bunny, and I mean, hell, I'd love a Bad Bunny figure after that whole thing. I'd be in for it.
That'd be cool. You couldn't do the 4-pack now, but you can.
Yeah,
you can definitely get Damien Priest and Bad Bunny.
He's so much fun to watch, and they absolutely nailed it with that figure. Great call on that one. My number 9. So moving into the 9 slot is a figure that I just got, just next to newest figure purchase, and my first purchase for this brand and this line. I finally pulled the trigger on a Mezco 112 collective figure. I got the advent calendar and Cousin Eddie. So Mezco 112, Cousin Eddie, and all his blue skulled goodness, rocking his reindeer onesie. The advent calendar was super cool. There was a lot of really good value in there in terms of like fun accessories. There was a really cool 5-point Doc Nocturnal figure in there, a couple of their Mezits. There was a spare head for Gomez. If you also got the Holiday Gomez, which I did not. But yeah, this Cousin Eddie figure, and actually at the time that this will be recorded, or at the time this will be shown, a picture of this will be out there, but Dave, I'm showing you this now. I went on eBay and found this guy, GPS Slot, that makes custom clothes for Mezco figures.
Mhm.
So in order to get some extra mileage out of him, when he's not in the holiday season, I got him a pair of like skinny, washed out jeans, and like a Nike sweatshirt, to go with him. So we can
That's pretty
continue
cool.
having fun with him, in the light box throughout the year. But super cool figure. What I will say is anybody who has not bought a Mezco 112 figure, if you're at all familiar or have ever had any experience with like Hot Toys or Sideshow collectibles, it's kind of like that, but in the 112 scale. It has this kind of luxurious feel to it. It's heavier than it looks like it would be. The joints are really smooth. The way the hands kind of and head and feet pop off and move, like it's just it is definitely a luxury item, which goes along with that price point. So if you are on the fence and they happen to produce a character that particularly speaks to you, that you don't think any other brand is going to tackle, or something that a character that you really really love, I would say it's worth investing in a Mezco version of that character. So that was my number 9.
Number 8. I don't think I could say much more about this than Erik has already said. Luchasaurus was high on my list early on, and then Jazwares just hit another home run with a Ringside exclusive 2-pack, which was like, okay, if I'm going to have Luchasaurus represented in this list, which I absolutely am, because it was one of the best unrivaled figures of the year, let's throw an awesome 2-pack in there too. So this is where I have the Jazwares AEW Unrivaled, the Jurassic Express Ringside Collectibles exclusive.
Yeah. All right, so moving into my number 8, this is my vintage collection representation on the list this year. This takes us to Hasbro's PulseCon that happened, in the last quarter of 2021, and it is the PulseCon exclusive Emperor Palpatine set. Again, this is one that's on this list. This could have been so many different vintage collection figures. It has been an incredible year as a vintage collection collector. I'm talking some all-timer figures that I never thought we would see in the scale. And I could spend here all day. I could spend all day here telling you about how awesome they all are. But I have to say that the Emperor kind of encompasses it. It's one of the best likenesses that they've ever done. The packaging is out of this world because on the surface it is so indicative of that kind of Kenner aesthetic. It looks like packaging straight out of the 80s, but it opens up and folds into this beautiful diorama of the Emperor's throne room, including a plastic back, circular window with a movable cardboard piece, so you can have it just look like it's the open galaxy, or you can have it look like it's the end sequence from Return of the Jedi. It's got this awesome like built-in little opening drawer that holds his accessories. He's got the lightning hands. He's got the cane. He even comes with a powered down greeny lightsaber. Yeah, it is just, and then of course he comes with his throne as well, so he can sit there. It was just so much fun to kind of open that and enjoy it and kind of recreate some of the moments, the iconic moments from Return of the Jedi. Amazing figure.
So there were my top 10 list has been there's a couple of pleasant surprises on there, but then there's one of those figures where when you see it, you're like, oh, this rules, and I need to get this. And so I have a new Spawn. I needed a new Violator. So this is the Mcfarland Spawn Violator. What a large figure. It's just large. It's you're holding something substantial here. Just what a it's got like the craggly kind of new Violator look to him. Like, you're used to the kind of skinny, just scary looking Violator, but this is kind of like a, you know, end of the stage boss, like a final boss Violator, which is pretty cool.
It's so big, and it's one of those things where, like, I remember when the promo art came out for it, and he was standing next to some of the other figures, and you're sitting there going like, okay, those are 7-inch figures, that's a big figure, right? That's big, but then you get it in the box,
and for the price point too, like
yeah, and I actually got mine, through one of those like Target deals where it was like spend $100 get $20 off or something like that. So it even worked out even better for. I think you got it as part of the same deal.
I might have. I don't remember.
But I guess I'll talk about him now as well because he's only one notch off of off of where we currently are.
So he's not your number 7?
No, he's my number 6. So I'll just for the sake of fluidity, I'm gonna swap my 6 and 7 here. Yeah. So Violator. The other thing that I have to say about Violator is I loved the old McFarland figures, like the kind of statuesque figures, the ones that had minimal articulation, but like the paint, the detail, the sculpt, and everything were fantastic on them. And that's something that has not been lost on modern McFarlane figures. Like the sculpts are still beautiful on them. Like they have, all these amazing detail. And that definitely comes first before the articulation. But this figure is so reminiscent of that old style of McFarlane figure with like you said, with all those nooks and crannies and sharp bits. I mean, like this figure will hurt your hand if you're not careful. But it also moves. Like it's the best of both worlds because he still had to put him in figure out a way to put him in that crouched position so that way he could get him in the box and the box was was the right size. But ultimately, it's a fantastic new addition to the collection, and it's amazing. It is an absolutely amazing figure.
All right, so my number 6, roundabout Comic-Con time, especially lately, Mattel's just been hitting home runs, and this is another one. I of course am talking about the Mattel WWE Elite Ultimate Edition Sergeant Slaughter. Everything from the packaging, that initial box, and then when you open it, you've got the throwback to the old LJNs, down to the packaging, to in lieu of where there would be a poster, the accessories are at the bottom. The artwork of everybody on the Mattel team, just what great stuff. And then the Sergeant Slaughter being reminiscent of the old mail away, just awesome, very cool.
Now, is that one you're gonna open and display at some point, or is that one gonna stay minty, you think?
Well, what's good is it has the packaging slides. So I could still hang on to the box.
Gotcha.
So it's not something where like an Elite or a regular Ultimate where you're just you're just destroying the box to open it.
Yeah, where you have to mangle the card to get the figure out.
Yeah.
All right, so moving into number 6 for me, this is going to be the NECA figure that is on my my top 10 list. He's my favorite version of this character, so I'm super excited to have him finally in toy form. Not the best Friday the 13th film, but NECA New Blood Jason is definitely my favorite Jason Voorhees. The Jason versus effectively an X-Men in this movie. And they even figured out a way to include that iconic moment where his mask, is telekinetically split in half. And it's such a cool little effect piece that they included. The way that they did it was really smart. The sculpt, the detail on it. I mean, Kane Hodder's beefiness really kind of comes across in this figure. It's the perfect zombie Jason, honestly. In terms of just kind of like the aesthetic and design. I love that it's got the chain hanging around his neck. I saw a couple of really creative folks manage to take pictures where like they put the chain and like the big rock, around his neck and everything, and made it look like he was underwater. It was really really good. But yeah, it is just a fantastic figure. And I know my number one on my halfway point was NECA's McCready, and I talked about how great like the likeness was and everything, and how much I love the figure and like the little details and the accessories and everything that it came with. That's how good this figure was that it unseated that NECA representative from the list. So super happy to have New Blood Jason.
Well, Erik, we just talked about for number 6 an ultimate figure. But sometimes some of the best things come in smaller packages. Specifically the 3 3/4 scale. And this is where I can highlight one of my favorite lines of the year. From everything to the figure selection, to the hearkening back to an older line, to the artwork on the cards. I could pick one, I guess, if I had to, and it would probably be Silver Surfer, just based off of how cool that figure is. But I, of course, am talking, although that new Wolverine in the 2-pack is awesome too. But of course, I'm talking about the Hasbro Marvel Legends 3 3/4 line. I feel like it's unfair to kind of say, like, here's one of the best ones of those, when they are all like the best ones of those. It's just an awesome line. I'm so happy that there was nothing worse than going to the store and finding none of them on the shelf, but there was nothing better than going to the store and finding none of them on the shelf, because it means that we're getting more of them next year. We've already had the next wave announced, and I continue to look forward to this because, we can get all different eras of all different stuff. Especially now that we're getting starting to get Venom into play and characters like that.
Yeah, it's only a matter of time before we get like Deadpool
or like Carnage or Danny Ketch Ghost Rider or
and I know Steve has already said that they're planning not just the rest of 2022, but they're already planning 2023. So this line ain't going anywhere in the foreseeable future. Yeah, it is such a cool line to see on the pegs too. Those John Tyler Christopher cards are gorgeous. Seeing the Kenner logo on Marvel figures too, just I don't know.
Yeah.
Something really cool about that. All right. So moving into my number 5. This figure is one of my favorite characters from my second favorite piece of anime work. An incredible villain, a royal pain in the ass, and an absolutely iconic version of this character. My number 5 pick is the SH Figure Arts Tamashii Nation's first form Frieza from Dragon Ball Z, Frieza in the pod. This figure is just the coolest, man. This is the only figure that lasted from my halfway list to this one. Another line that has had a really really good year, especially for Dragon Ball collectors with their releases this year. But the first form Frieza, the pod itself is special. In the fact that we've never actually seen the inside of the Frieza pod in either the manga or the anime, and they had creator Akira Toriyama's input into what the inside of the pod would actually look like, and to me that's awesome. I love when toys kind of create parts of the canon. Just a super cool figure loaded with accessories, detail, everything. So SHF first form Frieza.
So, the last little bit of this list is all like stuff that's come within the past couple months. And this one is going to be the latest entry. Didn't think I'd get this before the end of the year, but I did, and therefore it counts. It is not the first time that a figure in this style has been made. But it is the first time that a figure in this style has been made of a woman wrestler, let alone a world champion. And I, of course, am talking about the Ringside Collectibles exclusive Jazwares AEW Unrivaled Dr. Britt Baker DMD Blood and Guts figure. It probably will go down as I'm gonna say easily the best match of the year. By any company that I've watched. Britt Baker, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, and Thunder Rosa in the Lights Out match, just unreal. If you've not seen it, go back and do yourself a favor and watch that, and you get the little added value piece of the T-shirt that was created from that match. But I thought the Dr. Britt Baker figure from Unmatched was a bit of an underrated figure to begin with, but then you kind of chronicle this into it, and it's just an awesome figure.
Yeah. That's such a
and
cool.
We're getting round 3 in March with the Kenny and Mox 2-pack.
Yeah, and she's just such an awesome performer, in general. So it's great to see her get the the kind of very well deserved attention and kind of treatment with this figure. And I'm really excited for the Thunder Rosa figure that's been announced, that's coming. So that way, people can start recreating. There's a lot of really talented toy photographers out there that are going to absolutely crush recreating moments from that match once that figure comes out. So really excited for that. All right, so moving into my number 4. This is also a figure that is brand new to me. Is my second figure in this from this company. Something that really came out of left field. And I think kind of shocked a lot of people, and is something that was very holiday appropriate. I'm talking about the Four Horsemen Studios Figure Obscura. So it is not part of the Mythic Legions line, but the Figure Obscura line, a new line, Krampus figure. This was another one that was just kind of like, I saw pictures of it and was like, really, really just wanted to have it. Was feeling some serious FOMO on it. I mean, I love, this is not the Krampus from the film. That's coming. NECA announced that next holiday season, they'll be producing the one from the film. But it's kind of just like, I love Norse mythology, and like that kind of like darker side to fairy tales, and he's just a big old horned goat man that has like it comes with shackles to put on children, and like it's just such a bizarre figure. I can't believe it's real and that it exists. And Four Horsemen Studios does an incredible job with these figures. The detail. They're fellow New Jersey natives, so when this thing shipped, I got a notification, and like literally 12 hours later, it was on my doorstep. Again, really, really great packaging. This was a limited release, so unfortunately, there's You're not going to be able to get this one, but they did announce that there will be a variant alternate edition of Krampus coming soon to some kind of like partner retailers. So just keep an eye on our feed, on their feed, for information on that. But yeah, number 4 for me is Krampus.
So I see your large monster, and I raise you one. Well, we'll see how it goes. But this is another enormous figure from Mcfarland Toys. It was one where I saw it and I'm like, oh, this is cool. But where's the regular one? And then the regular one got announced, and for a large green thing, the just amount of care and detail put into this, and there's an extra hand. I didn't need it, because it is, to me, like kind of almost the perfect look for Swamp Thing, and of course giving it away. McFarlane DC Multiverse Swamp Thing. Is it way larger than Swamp Thing needs to be? Sure, but it doesn't make me love it any less. Because it's just, it's one of those things. This is one of those ones where when I saw it, I was like, I don't know why I love this so much, but I absolutely do. And this is going to be a tough thing to beat, like one of the top toys of the year. Like, I was like, this is easily a top 5, if not top 3. It was almost number 2, to be honest. But there are 2 things that I just enjoyed a little bit more.
Now, see, for all the reasons you love the figure, that's my problem with it. Is I love that god awful Swamp Thing cartoon from like the 90s, and the amazing figure line that went along with it. And to me, like, Swamp Thing was always like man-sized. And like, yeah, he's made out of plants, so like he can definitely grow, and like there have been, issues of the comic where he towers over things. But like, I would love for, and I know we're not getting into like the request end of things, but like, as awesome as that figure is like, just shrink him down a little bit. Give me like a 7 to 8 inch version of that figure instead of the mega fig, and I'm in, like, absolutely in, because it is a gorgeous figure. The sculpt is unreal, and yeah, I saw it in the store the other day, and yeah, I thought it was incredible, and ultimately had to pass though, just because of the sheer size of it. So
yeah, it's insanely large, but it's awesome.
All right, so where are we? Number 3?
You're at number 3.
All right, so number 3. Ugh. So number 3. I did a thing this year that I didn't think that I would ever do, and that was buy Black Series figures, Star Wars Black Series figures. Something I said I would never do, because of the sheer amount of 3 3/4 figures. But I ended up putting together just a very, very tight, small collection of Black Series figures. I'm, in all likelihood, probably done with that. Just some real core characters. And part of the reason why this happened was Hasbro was kind enough to send out that Lucasfilm 50th anniversary box, and it had some Black Series figures in them, and I opened them to kind of just experience them, because honestly, I had never really held a loose Black Series figure, and I see the appeal for them, and appeal to them, and they're really fun to photograph. And as part of that ongoing Lucasfilm 50th anniversary celebration, they released a series of Clone Wars figures in the old school Clone Wars packaging from the 3 3/4 inch figures, and they produced in that little subline one of the most gorgeous sculpts I've ever seen on a sub $30 figure, and that's Clone Wars General Obi-Wan Kenobi. So he's got the really cool kind of clone armor mixed with his with his Jedi robes, that really iconic look from from the series. But because Black Series figures don't do cartoon style in Black Series, everything is true to life. It's Ewan McGregor, and it's that kind of post, I guess you could say, post Attack of the Clones, pre Revenge of the Sith look for him, which is really more in lines with the Revenge of the Sith look, to be honest, the kind of short hair and full beard. And it looks so much like Ewan McGregor that it's actually like borderline disturbing, alarming. It's just such a beautiful sculpt. The deco on it is amazing. There's a nice little mix of some soft goods, the paint, everything. It is amazing, and it jumped all the way up. At one point, it was my number one figure for the back half of the year, and it got bumped out by two things ahead of it that absolutely blew my doors off. But if you can hunt down this figure, it is totally worth it. It's an amazing. It's definitely the best Obi-Wan Kenobi figure that Hasbro has done in the scale. Period. And end of story. So.
All right, so this is one that's going to be for number 2. This is going to be in a lot of wrestling collectors' number 1 list, I think. Everything you've heard about this figure is accurate. People have called it, just absolutely like a stunning figure, and it looks amazing. If it's ever been possible to shrink a wrestler down to, the scale of an action figure, and have it be like, oh, that I thought that was the person who it is. It's just an unbelievably good looking figure. Just unreal, and the first thing I'm sure of many to come. I am, of course, talking about Jazwares AEW Unmatched Series 2. It's Steve.
I'm sorry. Is Tony Schiavone on the line? I'm.
What a figure. It just looks like somebody shrunk down Sting and copied him.
Yeah, it's been a long time since we've had a Sting figure.
Well, there was supposed to be that Legends.
Yeah.
But, that got canceled in the at the last minute.
Before then, though, I feel like it had been quite a bit since there had been
the last
Sting
one
figure.
Was, I think, like that Surfer Sting one.
Yeah.
But this is modern day Sting, like it is current Sting, and what a fantastic figure.
Yeah, Magic really outdid himself, especially on the likeness. It's ridiculous.
It's one of the best figure likenesses that there is.
Oh, and that brings me to my number 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so my number 2, this is my newest figure. This is my newest figure to the collection. A figure that I was anticipating. There was a lot of hype behind it. Admittedly, this was not one of the G.I. Joe figures that I played with heavily as a kid. I'm not even sure if I had one, or if you even had one. But the classified version of this character, I'm very familiar with the character because the cartoon's awesome. But and the comics, but the G.I. Joe classified Cobra Bat. This robot henchman is just, it's just so cool. It delivers on everything that like kind of the G.I. Joe classified team promises. It's got amazing articulation. The deco on it is ridiculous. The accessories it comes with add so much value to the figure. Like it's got the removable chest plate. It's got a clean chest plate. It's got a battle damaged chest plate. It's got a battle damaged head. It's got the coolest backpack in the classified series so far. So it pegs into the back and holds all the extra hand attachments like the claw, the flamethrower, the drill. It's just across the board is such a good figure, and I know it's an army builder. And I cannot wait to see people make armies of these bats because it's going to be epic. It's going to be absolutely epic. And with all of the little like kind of things that you can do to make each one look just a kind of a hair different, have a different configuration. It's going to look really cool seeing them all together. And it is hitting, if you are listening to this podcast, it is already hitting some stores, some Targets and Walmarts in the last week of 2021. And I have to shout out Hasbro one more time for sending us the amazing G.I. Joe box that they sent us and including the bat as one of the figures in there. Absolutely cool moment to see that thing show up and to have that figure in there. So my number 2 pick is the G.I. Joe classified Cobra bat.
And now, a word from our sponsors. And now, back to the show.
So my number 1 is it's I'm honestly surprised this is number 1. And it is something where as soon as I opened it, I kind of fell in love with it, kind of similar to something else that this company made last year. Number 1 2 years running. I don't know, Eric, if you remember who I had number 1 last year.
I knew who your number 1 was. I didn't see your list, but I knew who your number 1 was the moment you got this figure.
Yeah, and it was something I couldn't. We had an interview recently, an episode of our show where I couldn't really stop gushing about this figure, and it is Super 7 Ultimate Papa Emeritus 1. I am. It is no secret. I am a huge fan of the band Ghost. So to get a kind of fully articulated Papa Emeritus is awesome. You can only hope that there's going to be the other 3 Papas. Well, actually, there's like multiple Papas. There's more than 3, but and Papa Nil and all of the band, and it's just like got the wheels turning to what I would love for the Ghost Ultimate line to be. But Papa Emeritus 1, let's start from the beginning. I love it. It's an awesome figure. You got the the alternate robes, the alternate heads. Just so good.
All right, and that brings us to my
or the ultimate headgear, I should say. But yeah, there's so much extra stuff. Like, so good.
Now, when you get around to displaying this figure, are you going to display him in black or white?
Probably black, because I feel like you get the opportunity for white later on.
That's true. Yeah, that version of Papa, I feel like the more it makes more sense to leave him in the black.
The more known is the white robe, or the black robe, I should say.
Yeah, the white robe comes more later with like the other versions. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So this brings us to mine. I don't think it would surprise anybody that Marvel Legends takes my number 1 spot. They get all my money. But I think what would surprise folks is that like I said, my number 1 is not an MCU figure. And it's not even a comic figure, it's a Gamerverse figure. It's my number 1 figure this year, which was also one of my favorite games of the year, if we were to have done video games, is Miles Morales, Gamerverse Miles Morales. Wow, what a figure! It is just, it's so good, man. The articulation on it, the way that this figure moves, the deco, it's gorgeous. I mean, it looks like the character from the game crawled, pun intended, crawled out of the packaging and is now in your hands. Speaking of which, hands, he comes with so many good like every Spider-Man should come with 3 sets of hands. Should come with fists, should come with whip hands, and should come with wall crawling hands. Miles comes with 4 sets of hands because you get those 3, and then you also get his Venom Stinger hands, which are these really cool new sculpted hands that have like the kind of lightning effect trailing off the back of them. They're cast in this really cool transparent yellow plastic that really kind of brings them to life. He does have an unmasked head as well, but it's an absolutely incredible figure. It is the best Miles Morales figure that you can get from Marvel Legends. And I think it kind of serves it can definitely fill in as a comic book version of Miles as well. Obviously we have not seen him. Neither of us have seen No Way Home yet. So barring him randomly showing up in that film and us not knowing about it, he has not been in the MCU yet. So that's left to be seen. But my number one figure, and this was like this. I will say there was a little bit of back and forth with me on this one because my other Marvel Legends figure that was like my number one figure for a while was the modular Iron Man, the '90s modular Iron Man, and this unseated that. So Marvel Legends Gamerverse Miles.
I thought you were gonna say the Hood.
No, that's just the figure of the year. Like that's his own. He's his own category. Shout out to the Sunny Channel, who painstakingly produced a Keeping It Hood 12-month calendar featuring amazing amazing toy photography of the Hood. You can hit up the Sunny Channel if you want a Keeping It Hood calendar in your life, because
I almost bought that figure based off of all the memes, just because it's why is he yelling? Like, what's he yelling at?
It's the best. I mean, it really is like no joke. It is the best joke of an action figure ever produced because everybody is in on it. Like, everybody is in on the joke. They knew exactly what they were doing when they, like, kudos to Ryan, Dan, and Dwight. They knew exactly what they were doing with that figure. Putting him in that villains wave, surrounded by literally like some of the most classic villains in recent Marvel history. And then the Hood. And it's literally
It rolls though. Really, it's just an angry man in jeans and a shirt. Like, I love it.
Yeah. So that's our list, Dave. But we feel like we would be remiss if we didn't mention some of the favorites from our followers. So we put out a story that mentioned, what were some of your favorite figures of the year, and some of those figures have made our list. So we did see some the Clone Wars Obi-Wan from at Mile High Ground. We did see I thought I saw, oh no, that was Fallen Silver Surfer. Oh, Cactus Jack, that was the other one.
At A Geek of Nature had liked Cactus, and he also liked Papa One.
But I figured let's take a minute here to shout out some of the ones that didn't make make our list. So at Toy Farce, friend of the pod, wanted to call out Plunderlings. Obviously, I also partook in Plunderlings this year and last year. Fantastic figures. At Toybox_battles, the Transformers Kingdom Rodimus Prime. That was another really cool figure. Let's see, scrolling through here. Panthro 504, Snake Eyes with Timber, the Snake Eyes Commando with Timber. Had it not been for the G.I. Joe Classified Bat, the Snake Eyes with Timber would have been the other 2-pack on my list.
From friend of the pod at Craig Stuff, Figma Naofumi Iwatani from Shield Hero.
Guys, if you're not following at Craig Stuff on Instagram, give him a follow, because he oftentimes, like, there's a lot of us toy reviewers out there, and and toy bloggers that take a look at a lot of the same stuff. Craig is often looking at these super intricate cloth goods import figures that you may not know exist, and he gives a really, really good look at them. So definitely check out Craig's stuff. Let's see. I'm going to call out. Go ahead.
At Captain Calitron said Frogman.
Oh yeah, no, from the Stiltman Build-A-Figure wave.
Yeah.
Frogman is another one that made his way into a lot of meme photography. All right, I'm gonna give one more shout out here to at Scooby Wan Kenobi, who included NECA Chrome Dome, the Black Series Cantina Showdown from PulseCon, Gunslinger Spawn, and the aforementioned NECA McCready from The Thing. So great list of figures there, all of which were definitely awesome, and but certainly belong on a best of list.
We had a second Frogman on here too. At XLA Figs, had Fallen Silver Surfer, She-Hulk, Ultron, and Frogman. That Fallen Silver Surfer was pretty cool too.
Yeah, the dark metallic one, part of the Cosmic Walgreens exclusives. Oh man, so that's it. That puts 2021 in the books, Dave.
Yeah, we did it. Somehow.
Here
we are.
One day at a time, surviving. Closing remarks on 2021 before we officially close the book and move on to 2022.
Nah.
A man. That's why I love you, Dave. You're a man of many words.
2022. Hey, let's have a step up.
Let's hope it isn't 2022, and it's its own.
I feel like 2021 was 2022.
The one thing I will say is we recently surpassed 7,000 followers on Instagram, which is just blows my mind.
Yeah.
And I just want to take an opportunity to thank everybody who listens and also follows us there, or just listens here, or is just finding us for the first time. It's a blast sharing this hobby with everybody. And it's not to say that we wouldn't be doing it without you guys, but it certainly makes it adds a whole other level of fun to it for us, and we have some really cool things planned for 2022. So
yes, we do.
Stay tuned, and yeah, here's to many more years of top 10 lists and interviews and all that good stuff.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Thank you, dear listener, for hanging out with us today. Subscribe, rate, and review us wherever you listen, and then tell your friends to do it. Thanks also to Joe Azzari, the golden voice behind our intro. Our music is Game Boy Horror by the Zombie Dandies. Find more about them both in our show notes.
Follow us on social media at AIC_podcast on Instagram and Twitter. Stop by and say hi, show us your toy hauls, and share your toy stories. Maybe we'll talk about it in a future episode.
Don't try this at home. Void where prohibited and some assembly required. Each sold separately, not a flying toy. Consult a physician if your toy run exceeds more than 4 hours.
This has been a non-productive media presentation. executive producer Frank Hablawi. This program and many others like it on the Non-Productive Network is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives license. Please share it, but ask before trying to change it or sell it. For more information, visit non-productive.com.
At ADP, we understand the importance of building the right team and offer the data insights to help. Just as importantly, our AI technology helps you pay the team accurately. Grow stronger with ADP. HR, talent, time, and payroll.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you 24/7 with supplies and solutions for every industry and access to product specialists ready to help. Call, click Grainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.